This video is brought to you by World Anvil. If you're going to create a fantasy cult, you're going to need somewhere to keep track of it. World Anvil is that place. Features such as maps, timelines, and family trees help you keep the fabric of your world in order and can be linked to the other notes and articles that you write while planning. This all-in-one platform has tools to help you write, organize, and even present and publish your own settings. World Anvil has over 45 supported systems, including Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So see the link below and use the coupon code Feltheleb to get 40% off any yearly subscription to World Anvil. Big thanks to them for supporting the video, and let's get into it. So maybe it's because I was fairly sacrilegious in my last video, or maybe it's because I've been using a particular indie game recently to virtually mess with my fellow YouTubers, but I've been thinking recently about cults in Dungeons & Dragons. And while there are some cool cults in D&D's lore, I want to strive for something better, something a little bit more personal, so why not create my own cult? If you've been adventuring for a while, you gotta spend that gold somewhere. Why not turn our attention to building something that will outlive us? After all, when you're not out adventuring, what could be better than relaxing in your comfy compound, all while reaping the benefits accrued by a legion of devoted followers? Do the rules allow for this? What resources exist within D&D to accomplish this? In this video, I'll be exploring the D&D rules for downtime activities, as well as the canonic benefits of divine devotion to show you the ins and outs of cult creation. Rather than focus on the flavor or the writing process behind this, we'll explore the mechanics, how the existing rules can help you in this process, and what resources Wizards has provided to DMs wishing to reward their little would-be cultists. So pick out a robe, sign your name in blood, and let's get started. Assuming that a campaign or adventure isn't all about a cult or creating it, creating a cult would be a downtime activity. Downtime activities are encouraged by the Dungeon Master's Guide, and they are meant to fill the void between adventures. With sometimes months or years between adventures, you should spend at least some of your time molding the minds of the people around you to your will. And in creating a cult process, we'll make sure to add monetary costs, allow the cult to influence our world, and we'll use it to highlight some of the better aspects of our more divine or supernatural player characters. First, we should pick out a supernatural being to base our cult around. There are a ton of deities and supernatural beings to choose from in D&D, and you could choose to start with the patron of your warlock or the deity of your cleric, since they already probably exist within your party. But because we're hoping to get some faith-based rewards, we're going to want at least some supernatural power on our side that actually exists. But don't worry, if you can't find a god to support your cult, I'm sure there are many less picky supernatural beings that would be grateful for your support. Next, we need a location to house our cult. For our reformatory, or our home, we're gonna want somewhere somewhat isolated, away from prying eyes at least, and away from prying jurisdictions at most. According to the Dungeon Master's Guide, just the cost of purchasing a piece of land for, say, a medium estate might be somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 gold pieces. Though, of course, land can always be acquired by other means. So once you have the land, assuming it hasn't already been developed, you're going to want to build it up for yourself and for your followers. The construction costs and construction times for a stronghold are contained within the Dungeon Master's Guide. While a large temple or abbey would be ideal, I would think something comparable to the guild hall or the trading post would make a lot of sense starting out. Bear in mind that the days required for construction of the stronghold do not need to be consecutive. Additionally, the stronghold can be built without you there to oversee the construction. It just takes a lot longer that way. If your DM is generous enough, who knows, you might be able to find and fix up an existing stronghold to suit your needs. You can remind your DM that the Dungeon Master's Guide explicitly states that it's not unusual for a party to gain possession of a property for this purpose. But a compound for a cult is nothing without the cult members to fill it. And pig's blood and red wax candles don't buy themselves, so of course there's going to be an upkeep cost for something like this. The DMG has a handy guide that will give you an idea of what the cost of maintaining your stronghold, i.e. cult, would look like based on the stronghold and the number of cult members devoted to that purpose. A reminder that a skilled hireling normally costs around 2 GP per day, and an untrained hireling normally costs around 2 SP per day. Additionally, if your followers aren't working at all, here is what the average cost of living for different classes of people look like according to the basic rules. Importantly though, we're not looking to just give away all of our hard-earned money to simply take care of some lowly acolytes. If someone is willing to devote their lives to our cause, it's only fair that we introduce some sort of tithe to take care of our expenses, right? For this, I think the running a business chart of the DMG's downtime section works well. Simply roll a D100 and add to it the number of days that you oversaw the cult to get an idea of what costs the cult might incur or what profits you, the cult, might make. For a slightly different approach, here's the Tavern Cost Guide rules for the Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which take several other factors into account. So maybe you can add a point or two to the roll for each member under your tutelage. After all, the more members you have, the better chance of profit. And as far as recruitment is concerned, it's easiest to think of your cult members mechanically as hirelings, people that are reliant on, but devoted to, your cause. And basic hirelings are supposed to be fairly easy to find in D&D. Other than your usual D&D NPCs, I'm sure there are a number of thankful NPCs who are willing to see what your party's new program is about. And if your party isn't well known or liked, disseminate information about how great your cult is. While a party member is overseeing the construction of a stronghold or managing existing members, another party could be out spreading rumors to increase the cult standing or reputation amongst local communities. Spreading rumors is another downtime activity. Additionally, don't be afraid to consult the optional rule for loyalty in the DMG. Rather than being used on one NPC, the loyalty of your entire cult could be represented by one value. After all, a loyal cult would be willing to risk life and limb for their god, and by their god, of course, I mean you. It's wholly representative. So those are the rules that exist surrounding the creation and maintenance of your cult, the costs. So what about the benefits? What is this all for? Well, D&D has a ton of benefits for those who would see themselves in service of deities or supernatural patrons. The extent to which these benefits are available is up to the ultimate headmaster, your DM. At the very least, you'll have a stronghold you can stay at, and a number of hirelings under your employ making money for you, but if the DM, first of their name, be gracious, we pray that they bestow these additional benefits on us lowly members. In the DMG, 10 days of performing sacred rites for your cult will grant you inspiration every day for the next 2d6 days. From Xanathar's Guide, you can spend your downtime engaging in religious services which could earn you favors. Favors which could take the form of a deity's intervention or support from the cult itself. If you choose to reflavor the optional renown rules section of the DMG to include piety, the cult's actions could increase your party's piety and grant special boons from a god. What boons, you might ask? Well, a more thorough rule set for piety and its boons exists in the mythic Odysseys of Theros. Using the Theros book as a model, you could craft not only all of the boons that you would need, but you could determine the process and the rate at which they obtain those boons through follower devotion. And if you don't want the gods directly involved, why not allow your cults to become a group patron of your party, as described in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything? In fact, Tasha's already has rules for what a religious order employing the party may look like, complete with ready-made quest ideas and boons to boot. With these sources in hand, you'll be able to reward your party's never-ending quest to build up a cult of magnificent proportions. As a final caveat, while these rules exist in D&D 5e, you should never undertake anything this grand without first consulting between the DM and the players. The rules I've listed above are really the mechanical considerations for running a cult creation quest in D&D 5e. The true fun, though, in creating a cult will be in the flavor of the cult that you create, the people that you recruit, and the world you seek to change with your divinely inspired will. For more information on that process, I would recommend Halfling Hobbies' video on that topic, which I will link below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to check out the World Anvil link below, and I'll see you next time.